Half-Life 2 is a game that needs no introduction. It is a game that has influenced the video game landscape and shall continue to influence and shape games forever. Many things have been said about this game, from what the theme and message of the game is, to theories of the anticipated Half-Life 3, and sometimes just the lore of the game. Perhaps too many things have been said about this first-person shooter, but if you will let me, I would like to say one more thing about this game. Half-Life is what video games are. But what is Half-Life? Behind the Mr. Freemans, Combine, and zombies, what truly is Half-Life 2? Gordon Freeman is an interesting protagonist. Throughout all of the Half-Life games, he has never said a single word. Being a silent protagonist and having no personality of his own, he is a perfect vessel for the player. Protagonists that can talk and have a personality run into the issue of disconnecting from the player, as their words and choices may differ from you, the player. But Freeman does not have this issue. Freeman and the player are linked. They are one individual. Freeman's struggles are your struggles. Freeman's pain is your pain. His victory, your victory. Whenever people talk to Freeman, they're really talking to you, the player. Freeman's crowbar is symbolic of this relationship. In the real world, the crowbar is an average tool, much like how we are average individuals in the real world. But in Half-Life, the crowbar is more than just an average tool. It is a weapon, used from the beginning of the game to the end. Much like how we are in video games. We are weapons. We transcend our average lives in video games and become something more. And this is our relationship with Freeman. We are Freeman. At first, Half-Life's gameplay seems no different from any other FPS game, but that all changes when you get the gravity gun.
All I smell is ribs.
Everything turns into a weapon. Combat encounters go from spamming grenades and rockets to using your creativity to invent new weapons for yourself and using those weapons against anyone who stands in your way. And to test the limits of what you can do. How many objects can you pick up? And how many of these objects will kill? How can I combine these weapons with the gravity gun? Half-Life goes from an FPS with limited weapon pool and a slightly boring gameplay to a sandbox game where the only limit is your own creativity. The story of Half-Life is a simple one. The Combine have taken over the world and instituted an Orwellian-style government. In the beginning of the game, we see just how bad it is. Guards and cameras on every corner, watching everything you do. The guards abusing people for seemingly no reason. People having to wait in line just to get food. People living in constant fear of what may come next. The Combine seem like a force that cannot be overturned. You are outnumbered, outgunned, and outclassed when you fight against these foes. You are truly against impossible odds. But somehow, in some way, whether it was luck or just your own efforts, you managed to beat the Combine and save humanity from certain doom. Doesn't all this sound familiar? You play as a silent protagonist. Use your creativity to defeat and win against seemingly impossible odds. It should, because that's what games are about. Half-Life 2 is a perfect representation of what games are all about. A protagonist who is a vessel for the player. That could be Mario, Master Chief, or the Point Man. Using your creativity to fight. That could be a ray gun, plasma pistol, or Arsene. And fighting and winning against impossible odds, whether that is cultists, demons, or vampires. All of these things appear in Half-Life and other games, and this is why Half-Life is what video games are.